everybody, it's Kenda from Owls, and I'm here to share with you some exciting new games we're developing. You may know our products from websites like Teachers Pay Teachers, which bring these resources into classrooms all across the country. Perhaps you purchased one of our bestsellers, Mask of the Red Death, around October. All right, this 9-week unit has been purchased and used in so many classrooms. It comes with all of your standards out here, right here in front and center, emphasizes the standard that it's associated with. All right, those standards are linked to assessment practices and they're pretty much daily. Either students do multiple choice or they do writing. There's opportunities for students to build their vocabulary skills, including figurative language. Everywhere you see a colored link, this one happens to be a link to a PowerPoint, but we've been really obsessed with this idea of technology integration. We know that a lot of classrooms now have access to technology, but not a lot of time to figure out how to best use it. And so we've taken the opportunity to do a lot of that work on the front end for teachers, developing content-rich and technology-enriched materials for teachers to use in secondary classrooms. This one is about setting and symbolism, and you'll see that the students in many of the lessons apply these skills in real world context. In this case, working as advertisers to both analyze these very, very famous brands, but also to create their own logo. There's differentiated text for students who need support, as well as the overall structure of the lessons are scaffolded in order to easily meet the needs of all students. The texts are paired so that even though this one is based off of a literary short story, it's paired with informational text in science as well as, let's get it there, and history, okay? And so let's take a look at the rating that we have on this very product on Teachers Pay Teachers. It comes with the introductory video as well as the PowerPoint, the printables, the lesson plans themselves. And it has a perfect rating. And I see you'll notice the price, and we take our commitment to provide value very seriously so that we know a lot of teachers and sometimes districts are purchasing these products for for use in classroom. And we know that it has to be effective, it has to be easy to use, and it has to be good. And it has to be visually stimulating and engaging. And so for us to have a perfect rating on our products means so much to us because it's coming from hardworking teachers who value their money and their time. Before we go, I'll just share with you one of my favorite feedbacks. This is from Brooke R. Thank you so much. She gave us a little bit of a run for our money. She asked us, like, why should I buy this unit? What's in it? $35, that's a little bit of money. But after I talked to her, we gave her some feedback and talked a little bit more about what was all included in the unit. This is what she wrote. Thank you for this comprehensive unit. Everything I need to teach this popular short story is provided in detail, worth every single dollar. So we thought we could do better, right? We wanted to take the next step. So in addition to designing these really, really great comprehensive units, we are looking to make them even greater by integrating engaging games that students can play that not only are there for fun, but actually are part of the efforts to teach our students, where they are learning experientially, where they are receiving feedback strategically, almost secretly. So with that said, I would love to introduce you to our games. If you're like most teachers surveyed by Ed Week, 70% of them said that that technology in the classroom didn't necessarily support innovation. Some of the reasons were because the usability was limited, the technology wasn't integrated, it was actually offered as an alternative instead of as an extension of learning, and it wasn't effective, usually because it wasn't rigorous and not really standards-based. So we took the opportunity to reimagine it, integrate it, and accelerate it. The question you have to ask yourself is, What if this was a character analysis? Would you like a sneak peek? The first game we're developing is a character analysis game. Imagine this screen in front of a student instead of, well, used to be my favorite, those worksheets that talk about motivation in terms of the heart and ask students to put a quote on the lips of the character. But this is something that looks a lot more familiar and certainly more engaging to students that are currently in our classrooms. So imagine this character spinning in the end version of this game. The students being able to interact with each of these fields in order to determine the strengths of the character, their challenges, and even their accomplishments, as well as cite evidence from the text. They'll be able to look and summarize the setting here and understand the character development by creating checkpoints in the character's journey. They'll be able to choose the gender and age of the character, as well as some elements of their appearance. And when they select an archetype, it changes the outfit and a little bit of the behavior. So if it's a love story and our main character is a lover boy or girl, they'll blow a little kiss. Okay. And so students, you can imagine this is a great maker space for students to create characters based on stories they're reading and compare them to already installed profiles for those characters so that teachers can get feedback on this game. But they can also use them to create their own avatars or create their own characters and put them in circumstances so that they can write their own narratives. The next we have is gained citing evidence. Okay, this is really one of the traditionally really difficult standards for us to address with students because it requires a lot of inference and it requires a lot of work. So many students can go back and they can pick out evidence, but it's important that they be able to determine what the best evidence is. And so what we did was create a context in which students would have to revisit some really popular short stories. This version of this game is based off of The Most Dangerous Game. So the students are going to read in detail, in depth. They're going to read like a detective. They're going to search for information and clues that are important. And they're going to use this feature to click on it and it'll populate to this little notepad. But the innovative thing about this game is that the students will use those notes to cross-examine a witness or to support claims that they have made. When the student misses an opportunity, they'll get a hint, and those hints are meant to be in-game information and guidance and learning. On the back end, and for students who continue to struggle, there are progress monitoring and assessment pieces so that teachers can see how quickly and easily students can apply the correct evidence to the appropriate claim. Our next and final game in series 1. Now we have ideas for a whole suite of these, but for our first phase, the final of the 3 games is a vocabulary game. Now again, each of these games will change slightly based on the context of the story they're reading. We want to give students feedback on their progress and their abilities, but in a real world context. In this version of the game, the students have to deliver a speech as a politician. And depending on whether they choose the words with the right tone or the right meaning, it affects not only their poll numbers, but on the screen, how their audience is reacting to them. And so you can see this will be really fun and engaging for students, but teachers also get data they can use, along with reports as well as tips for how to actually go back now into the curriculum and use different features. So our premise is that integrating really, really engaging but standard-based games into instruction instead of as an alternative to it is going to yield really, really great results. Now, we're applying for an innovation grant with the Department of Education, and we really need your feedback to get these games into classrooms at a really, really reasonable cost. So your honest feedback is greatly appreciated if you will take a few minutes to complete the survey that goes here. We are excited about this opportunity and about the chances that we have to really, really enrich the instruction in our classrooms. And this will help teachers do what we always say in closing: have fun teaching.